Am I Samoan? Sure, I can say a few words like Talofa and Oa mai ore, but I don't speak Samoan fluently. I was raised in Manurewa, South Auckland, but I went to a private school in Central Auckland. I was in Samoan group at school, but I don't know much about the Samoan culture. So, am I Samoan? Growing up, I experienced cultural imposter syndrome. Cultural imposter syndrome is where individuals feel like they don't belong to their culture because they don't have the same experiences and understandings. For me, my mixed experiences of being in Samoan group at school, but not knowing much about the Samoan culture, was just one of many examples where I felt like I wasn't a real Samoan. As a New Zealand-born Samoan, I grew up navigating dual understandings of what it means to be Samoan. To Paparangis or Europeans, a Samoan was sometimes defined by negative stereotypes, labels, or by the colour of their skin. But Samoans mainly define themselves by their cultural knowledge and ability to speak the language. These different definitions of a Samoan meant that to belong, I had various boxes to tick, standards to meet, and people to please. 60 years ago, my grandparents migrated from Samoa to New Zealand, the land of milk and honey, leaving behind everyone and everything they knew to provide a better future for their families back home and for generations to come. For me, going to a private school was an opportunity that my family had hoped for. It was also an opportunity for me to break the negative stereotypes of Samoans. Knowing this, I worked hard to strive for excellence and to make my family proud. But no matter how hard I tried, I was still judged by the colour of my skin or by the scholarship that I was on. While I saw myself as a good student, many saw me as another Pacific scholarship student or another brown girl from South Auckland. But deep down, I felt like there was more to being a Samoan than the outward appearance. With other Samoans, I often felt pressured to speak the language and understand the culture. But I can't do either. And that felt like a huge barrier to being able to build relationships and have conversations with other Samoans. Growing up, I often felt embarrassed when trying to communicate with my grandparents, because I could never have a conversation with them without turning to my parents for help. I wished I could be a true Samoan, but often the pressures and expectations of others made me feel like giving up. So whether I did well in education or didn't speak Samoan fluently, I felt like I was always put down and deemed a fia Paparangi, too white and not enough to be a true Samoan. At such a young age, the Samoan girl who tried to fit in eventually felt that she could never be enough to be Samoan. All this hurt from my imperfections turned into frustration, resulting in disassociation from my cultural identity. So what if I wasn't enough to be Samoan? Instead, I'll call myself a plastic Samoan. You know, those ones that look Samoan, but they're not actually Samoan, because they don't have the same experiences and understandings as other Samoans. I thought that by calling myself a plastic Samoan, I was saving myself the embarrassment and shame that came with not meeting others' expectations. But as I reflected on the different experiences and understandings of the Samoan, I wondered, what truly defines my Samoan identity? Was it my education? The colour of my skin? My ability to understand and speak Samoan? Or was it something else entirely? Whenever I ask myself, am I Samoan? I would always compare myself to others' definitions. Too often, we try to become something or someone we're not to feel a sense of belonging. No matter our cultural backgrounds, we all want to fit in with others. But in doing so, we can lose or forget the narratives and parts of us that make us who we are, that make us unique, that already make us enough. Embracing our authentic selves is key to challenging the cultural imposter syndrome that we feel, but the journey should not end there. To overcome cultural imposter syndrome, we can do 3 things. Firstly, we must unlearn. Unlearn the stereotypes that we have internalized and judge others upon. Unlearn the standards that we hold each other to. And to unlearn this mindset that we are not enough. Secondly, we need to make space. Make space to forgive each other. Make space to heal from the lies that we believe about ourselves. And to make an inclusive space where everyone can belong. And lastly, we have an opportunity to learn. To learn about our culture, our language, and our history. And in doing so, we can better understand ourselves, each other, and our communities. The best thing is, it is never too late to learn. I learned that by calling myself a plastic Samoan, I was actually putting up a barrier where I didn't allow myself to learn more about my own culture. Well, I decided to change that and recently completed my first Samoan language course. And because I allowed myself to learn, I was able to understand more about my Samoan culture. So when it comes to overcoming cultural imposter syndrome, we must realize that the imposter is not ourselves. The real imposters are those who define who we are by our outward appearance, our experiences, and our understandings. By choosing to 1. Unlearn others' definitions, 2. Make space for ourselves and each other, and 3. Learn about our cultures, we can truly celebrate and embrace our own cultural identities. So let me introduce myself. Sa ma lol soifua ma Leilani e mama. O lo wingo o Leilani Faaiuaso. O te sau mai nuu, o sale lolonga, leo lumuenga, lua tua nuu, ma whale a rupo. I am proud to be continuing the legacies and visions of my ancestors, who are trailblazers and pioneers in their own right. Today, I stand before you as a proud granddaughter, daughter, and sister who is living the answered dreams and prayers of my family's sacrifices. My Samoan cultural identity is not solely a product of my experiences, but is a whala, a woven mat of intergenerational stories of my ainga, my family. So no one can ever say that I am not Samoan, because there's a beautiful Samoan proverb that says, E loa le tama malatene Samoa, I lana tu, savali, malana tosala. A Samoan person is revealed by how they carry themselves, how they walk, and how they speak. So I'll proudly carry myself, walk gracefully, and speak with confidence, because I now know that the approval of others or my cultural competency does not necessarily make me Samoan. What makes me Samoan is my ainga, my family, and my heritage. So no one can ever say that I am not Samoan, because it is in my DNA. It flows through my blood and is in my veins. My Samoan cultural identity makes me who I am, and it will always be a part of me, regardless of my experiences and understandings. E, o a'ua Samoa e, o a'ua Samoa e, e ule anu lo'u pale o te le mahe ta'u atu. O a'ua Samoa. I am Samoan. Know that I am Samoan. And despite the colour of my crown, I am not ashamed to say